Hi, my name is Michelle Estrada. Welcome to my channel where I teach you all I know about WordPress, SEO, starting and running a web design business, and lots of other little things that I think you might find useful along the way. Today's video is going to be about updating plugins and why we should do it. Now, WordPress is my favorite content management system, which is basically just a fancy way of saying platform for building a website. And WordPress uses something called plugins to make the website more functional. And the authors of those plugins update them from time to time. Sometimes they update them weekly, sometimes it's monthly, sometimes it's only once a year or so. But you don't know when they're going to issue an update. You can only find out when you log into the back end of your website and you see that there's updates available. Now, the reason why it's so important to keep your website current and those updates up to date as much as possible is because hackers will find vulnerabilities in your website when you have a plugin that's not up to date, and that's how they can kind of hack into your website and insert malicious code and stuff like that. So that's not the only way they hack, but that's one of the ways that they hack. So it's really important to keep your website updated. And when I say updated, I'm not talking about the content, I'm talking about maintaining the updates on your plugins. So today in this video, I'm going to show you what I do to keep the plugins updated and the steps that I take and why. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the dashboard here and we're going to create a backup. I have a plugin that I particularly like, and it is called All-in-One WP Migration. You click on this and you go to backups, and you can run a backup by just clicking create backup. It takes just a couple minutes to run, and then you can download that backup and save it to somewhere on the cloud like Dropbox, or you can save it to a hard drive, wherever you want. And it also saves it right here in the back end of your website. So before you do any updating to any of your plugins, you need to make sure that you create a backup first. You want to make sure that you have the most current version of your website, because if anything were to happen, you want to make sure that if you have to roll back, you're rolling back to the most recent version of your website that there was before the backup occurred. So make sure that you do the backup first. I can't stress to you enough to always, before you do anything, create a backup. Even before you start changing things on your website, start making edits and stuff, just take a backup. And when you're finished doing a whole bunch of work on something, take a backup. I have learned, because I have been burned, and you only have to get burned so many times before you never forget to take a backup when you're done and before you start. So without further ado, let's get into it. I've already done my backup, and what I'm going to do is I click on updates available, and it looks like 20 of these plugins have updates available. So I'm going to go ahead and select all. And I'm just going to scroll through and see what I have, if there's any warnings or anything. And I don't see any warnings. Sometimes there's going to be warnings saying that, hey, we have not tested this update with your version of WordPress. Be careful before you do this. But I don't see anything like that. So we probably are going to be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and select update and apply. And then it just takes a couple minutes to run. When all the plugin updates have been completed, you're going to want to go to the front end of your website and double check it and make sure that everything still looks the same to you. If things don't look the same when you're done running the updates, then what you're going to want to do is clear the cache, check the front end one more time, see if it helped when you cleared the cache. If that doesn't help, then you have to go in one by one and deactivate your plugins and reactivate them one at a time. Check the front end and see if that solved the problem. Sometimes when you're creating your updates on your plugins, things can break. If things break when you do your updates, it probably means that plugin developer has something in that plugin that either conflicts with another plugin on your website, or maybe it's not compatible with your theme, or maybe it's not compatible with your version of WordPress. So there's a few different troubleshooting techniques that you can go through to kind of a process of elimination to figure out what's going on. There's also a plugin that I like called Plugin Detective, and that works really well. So try that. Plugin Detective really speeds up the process of figuring out which plugin is causing the problem and going from there. Sometimes it's a lot more detailed than just figuring out which plugin it is. Sometimes it's a problem with the theme. Sometimes it's your version of your WordPress. Sometimes you need to go into your hosting and flush the cache on your hosting. And sometimes you can just do it from your website. I use something called WP Rocket, and you can click on clear cache or purge the cache in here, and that usually does the trick. But sometimes it takes a little more oomph than that. I'm going to show you a clip from something that I did just yesterday where the cache would not clear and what I did to solve that problem. So let's go to that clip right now. So you can see it's not what it's supposed to look like. So I'm going to give you a trick that I just learned, and this is so cool. What you can do is you can start clicking around on other pages, and none of these pages are going to look right, but you just keep clicking until they start to refresh how they're supposed to. And now it's kind of like you're pushing it through the cache and making that cleared cache that you did, you're kind of forcing it. So now watch, I'm going to go back to the home page and it should be working. Look. And it's there. And now all the pages are displaying properly. All the pages. The font is right, the pictures are there. Oh my gosh. Only took me 2 hours to figure this out, but this is why I have this channel, so that I can show you useful things that might help you if you get stuck in a pinch like this. You're not going crazy if you can't get this to work. You've cleared your cache and cookies in your browser. You've flushed your cache on your website. You've done everything you know to do. Try clicking around on the tabs and see if it forces it to go through, and then hopefully that works. Anyway, went in and I deactivated all the plugins, and slowly I started reactivating them. But I don't really think that was the issue this time. I think it was really just like a caching problem. And sometimes that's all it is a caching problem. So it's fixed now. So you got to see firsthand what happens behind the scenes with a web designer. I hope this was helpful. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next video, and I will see you on the next one. In the meantime, go let your light shine.